Hey, what's going on? Chris Courtney here, new Pragmatic. Sporting the green, rocking sweatshirt. Thinking about getting some new gear, by the way. Got this new design that I was gonna get printed up. Thought I might send some out to the peeps. We'll see. It's all cute. Might delete. Don't know. Hope you're doing well where you are. We're just waiting for Couchbot to fire here and let us know that we can officially get underway. Got kind of a light load this morning, so we'll definitely jump into that here in just a moment. Saw a bunch of chatter this weekend around basically employment length shaming, or like length of employment shaming is what I should call it, where there were a lot of people saying that, oh, it's career suicide if you have anything shorter, if you have 3 stints of less than 18 months back to back to back on your resume. And all I could think to myself is, what an asinine thing to say to people. Really, really. I mean, think about if you've ever freelanced before. Okay, now you probably would roll that up under some sort of freelance role. You wouldn't say, you wouldn't list individual projects, okay? But if you think about it, you know, moving from one freelance project to the next freelance project to the next freelance project is like having 3 jobs, okay? Or, you know, what if you were in school and you shifted for reasons outside of the job? Or what happens if you were in, like, I don't know, a toxic environment? You know, some of you who've been in this course have been in those environments, and you decided not to stay. Good, kudos to you. So I just I bristle at the idea. I bristle at the idea that you should pay any mind to the idea of, oh, I must spend X number of months at this job for me to take it and do something with it. No, what you should do is you should require yourself to produce at least one impressive project while you're at that job. And until that's happened, don't leave. Okay? And that's actually, I think, a better gauge of whether you've actually done anything. This person's saying, "Oh, well, you know, if you move in 18 months, that's a giant red flag." No, the giant red flag is if you didn't produce anything in the time that you were there. That's the red flag. So don't listen to these dumbasses out here that are saying, "Oh, 18 months." Don't pay any attention to that crap. It's just crap. It's, and it's elitist crap at that. It's always somebody who's been lucky enough to land on their feet. And honestly, there have been times where I've seen it where the person who's talking about it is also the person who's done that before. And for whatever reason, they feel like they have to talk about why it's bad. Just shut up and do your thing, kid. And it's always some old person. I say kid, but everybody's a kid to me at this point. I'm 20 some odd years into this, okay? But it's always some kid. It's always some kid that's now about a decade into their career and trying to be righteous about it. Just produce work wherever you're at, and it'll be fine. Let's jump into this, all right? Let's get going. Chris Courtney here, new Pragmatic. It is time for the feedback loop. Couchbot's fired. I am fired up, ready to get going. It's got a kind of a light day today. Rebecca's in. Abby's in. I know Eve and Charlie are right around the corner. Charlie got some interview prep today. Yeah, I'm excited about that. And then Eve's wrapping up her portfolio, so we may see like an Eve appearance. She's been kind of like shooting in like a shooting star at the end of feedback loop the last couple of days. So maybe we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can get this underway, and let's start right here with Rebecca. Rebecca's got her. Oops, I should not. I should learn how to use Figma comments. So she's got a question right here. We'll start in here. It says, I'm struggling with how to best line up the edit buttons and or their outer container with the save button below them. All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, this thing. So keep in mind, you are lining up. So this is the classic macro micro. Okay, the macro space here is this larger element. All right, and I'm just gonna multiply that. So that's the macro. Okay, that's all the space of all the things, right? The micro is how do you handle that right there? How do you handle your business right in there? And the thing that I like to remind people is that when we're doing this, and I'm gonna lock these down. When we're doing this, it's more important to make sure that you are. Well, I keep thinking you've probably got auto layout kicking there, and you don't. I like to make sure that the spacing in these shapes is even, which means that this needs to come over as well. All right, and once I've now aligned the micro, and actually the micro is not completely aligned. Now it's more in that zone. I could probably do the same thing over here. It's a little low, so something like that. But you get the idea. And now when I bring these into play and move them over, and when I do the same here, I shouldn't have. Gotta remember to hold my shift key down when I do that. Group it, move it over. Like that's what I'm looking to have happen. I'm not necessarily worrying about these rectangles. And then, yes, the micro here is aligned, and if you really look at this, the macro rather, I continue to mess it up, but the micro is now aligned properly inside of its little boxes, and that the macro was already there. All right, if nothing else, what you might do is you might scoot this out a little bit to align with that edge, and you can kind of see that Figma tells you that, oh hey, you're right there, and this is already pretty much there. So not a whole lot to do with those, but I think that ultimately that's the mix. That's the mix that you're looking for. Now there is some question of does login security need to be that high? Should it be more like the space that's right here? But I will leave that to you to sort out. But I'm going to turn these. I'm going to turn that off so you're not looking at it. But there you go. That's basically what I would do. Now for you to figure out is the spacing here. Let's move on to the next one. Also struggling with this section, where to put all the clickable info like edit, delete, as the default shipping and as default billing. See original screen above. Let's go to the original screen above. Yeah, so there's a reason why I wouldn't move it away from here. And it has to do with the fact that this is variable data, okay? And you have no idea how long some of this information will be. All right. Like there are some. If this is an international company, there are some really long street names when you get over into Ireland, for instance. It's ridiculous. And because this is all variable, I would want to keep it to where this information can just go straight across, and this information lines up with the bottom. So let's come over here and take a look at what you've got. Okay. So you've got edit, delete, set as default. The problem here is that the moment that this changes into something like Mount Prospect, actually that's, oh, well, let's change this to a name that I know all too well, Blackjack Mountain. Okay, you're not giving yourself enough room to operate. All right, so this at minimum has to come over, and you really need to give yourself a chance. What happens? What happens when this is Tito's Mexican Express container service? How do we handle this as it goes across? The logical thing to do would be to make it just to where these things that are of variable length can go just directly across, and then this edit delete. If you wanted to have that underneath, that's fine, and this set as default, could go underneath that. And if you want to do the pipe in between, you could. But that's kind of how I would, that's kind of how I would handle that. And of course, in looking at this, edit delete doesn't have to be grouped with set as default. Set as default is that's a different level of consideration. Default is saying that, oh, and this is a thing that I would like. This is default billing. I wouldn't have this really show up right away. Now, if I clicked on it, then I think it should show up, right? But the big thing that I want to emphasize to you is that this information being variable is going to need more width. And yes, town names get wide. These zip codes, AA4, whatever, those need a little more room too sometimes. I've seen some really long street names, but the big one that I've seen is the restaurant or service name. There's a lot of really long corporate names out there, so that's why. I'm even worried about that one eventually looping over. Like, there's just some really long names out there, so I would keep away from putting anything over here, because primarily this corporate name issue, and you're dealing with businesses, so that would be my major pause there. Let's jump over to the last one that you had. The original screen for this is above the frame. I wanted to use the steps and navigation in place of the infographic, but I'm struggling with the spacing and numbers and the text beneath them. Okay. Well, here's the thing. The spacing of the numbers is the spacing of the numbers, and the content below the numbers needs to line up with the numbers. And I would separate my concerns. Like, yeah, don't do it like that. That's not good. But that's not good at all. Let's grab these. Well, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna lock this rectangle down. Okay, paste it right here. So I'm just gonna space this. I want to focus on the spacing of these first, because when you pull in the text, that's when it gets all screwy. Now if we come up and we just say, okay, distribute horizontal, now we've got even spacing. Okay, now I can group that, bring it back down. Okay. And now what I'll do is, oh, prepare for shipping. Oh, is that what you really want to do? All right, well, that's going to be 2 lines. Okay. And that's really just all there is to it. And now that's going to be aligned with that. And, if you want a line between them, if you want to like color code them as they move across, whatever it is, just know that I would align the circles first and then come back to this text and make that text. If the text needs to be 2 lines, it needs to be 2 lines. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay? But that's what I would focus on. And it looks like you've got some longer ones still outstanding over here. So, like ground shipping and tracking, that's going to be really long. So give yourself room between, this information may need to drop down a little bit to give yourself enough room for these to come across. But always focus on the spacing of the numbers over the text. Okay? Okay. Let's go over to Katie. Katie, no, it's not Katie. It's Abby. Sorry. Let's go over to Abby. And Abby's working on chapter 2. She's working on observational research. She's out in the field right now. Well, not right now. Actually, I'm about to have a call with Abby. So, not in the field right now, but she has gone out and done a bit of research. It looks like she went to a gas station, and she also went to a community beach. And a couple of things that are interesting about this, Abby, is that one, the gas station here. Well, first of all, this is definitely the type of research that I would want to have in a separate document, so that if you need to link to it later, you can. I would break it out of your journal and put it into a separate document. I appreciate getting an idea of where you went to, when it was, what the conditions were. This level of details is pretty good. It looks like, and you're assuming that it's a dad, but it's a male, mid-50s, messy casual quarantine outfit, frazzled behavior, mask and gloves on. Okay? And that's the reason why I said go to a gas station. I want to see how people react, where there are things they have to touch to do the thing that they're there to do. Okay? A grocery store, like the doors open, and typically speaking, people just kind of grab the food, but because not everybody has a common touch point, gas station has a common touch point. It's the nozzle. So how are they handling that? Parked at the pump behind me. So what's interesting is I can't tell if this is a different person or the same person, but if this is the same person, I've either got 2 people doing basically the same thing, wearing gloves, or I've got one person, and I've got that person in high detail. I need like 10 of these people. And part of that is like pulling off to the side of the gas station, like going up to park at the front and kind of watching people come and go for 10-15 minutes. You need a decent volume, because right now the average is everybody in your community is a mid-50-year-old male that's wearing mask and gloves. And I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's representative of all communities. I know they're not all. Every community is not made up of 50-year-old males. So we need a deeper sample set for that. So I'm probably gonna ask that you take another spin, like and change it up. Go to a different one and set there. You can park across the street if you want to. Whatever it is, make it to where you can observe from afar, and just write down what you're seeing. As far as the beach goes, the beach is interesting because it's not this. The gas station was a public place where people have a common touch point. The beach here is a not public place. It's like a lake community, but I did feel like you have some detail here. So get an idea of when you went. Got teens here, multiple teens together, like multiple teens. Would that be 6 or 20? How many groups? So, regardless, no masks. Okay, distant from other groups of people. So they're maintaining social distance, but there's no masks. But they're in a group, juuling, drinking, playing football with some guys, girls watching in chairs. So it sounds like they are basically operating. They're operating away from other people, but in their own group, they're basically acting like it's completely normal. So here, Z, the guy who rents multiple houses next to the beach, no mask. Okay, so this guy's basically home, no mask. Beach outfit, no shoes, wandering around, talking to others, not being super distant at the beach, offering his tubes and floats to other people, to other neighbors to use. Oh my God, so people, yes, crawl on this thing that other people have crawled on. Yikes. Okay, California family, very distant, no masks, away from main beach area, kids swimming out of swimming area, babies screaming too much, parents watching swimming children. So again, nobody here at the beach is wearing a mask. All right. They do appear to have some social distancing going on. I'm not sure where the teens are from. The California family sounds like they are very far away. I'm not quite sure how you know they're the California family. But Z is like roaming amongst the people, which Z has a super spreader sort of mentality. So these are good details. I would like to break up groups like this to have a better idea of how many groups of teens were there, or were there, again, it's not clear. It might be one group of teens because it says multiple teens, but I'm just not sure. What does that mean? How many guys? How many girls? Regardless, they sound like they're distancing, but no masks, and otherwise acting the same. But you get an idea of how people react when they have to go do something. You're doing a task. You're running an errand when you go to a gas station. You're relaxing when you're at the beach, and it's like a different world. But again, I'm not sure I have a full picture of the world because I think it's just this one guy, and I can't ever just rely on our user research being one guy. So I want that gas station to go deeper. All right. Okay, everybody, that's going to do it for this edition of the Feedback Loop. I've got a meeting that's starting right about now. So I'm going to wrap this one up, and I will chat with so many of you later today. Take care.